congratulations with Last Stop of Yuma in Yuma County coming out. I saw this at Fantastic Fest and absolutely the biggest surprise for me out of Fantastic Fest. So I'm so excited that it's finally coming out for the rest of the world to see it.
Too. Me too. Yeah, yeah.
So, because
That's
you're one
cool
of
you
the
saw it back then.
yeah, it was one of those movies that I heard kind of rumblings about. People like, no, you have to check it out. I promise it's really good. And and I met Francis there too, so it's really nice. But because you were the first person to sign on to the project, right?
I was. I I was on it way early, pre-COVID. So I remember it
Oh
was about a
wow.
month before COVID. I was in Detroit, and Francis, James Cleese, wonderful producer who sold his house to make it happen.
Right?
Um, he I know, yeah, I know. It wouldn't have been made if James hadn't taken a very big risk, which of course I was quite nervous. I wanted to make sure James got his money back. Um, Sold his house, but James I know I've known for a little while, and James kind of got Francis in touch with me because I guess Francis had me in mind for Bo. So sent me a script, sent me a lovely letter, and we spoke on the phone. I remember it was pre-Zoom because the COVID hadn't happened, so no one Zoomed in those days. We just spoke on the phone like the old days. And we spoke for a couple hours about films, just the script, obviously. I loved the script when I read it. I did not expect what was going to happen. To
Yeah.
happen, it's so unexpected. It's such a roller coaster of a ride. And after I spoke to Francis, I just knew this guy, even though he'd not made a feature film, I could tell he knew what he was doing. I could trust him. So I signed on right away. I said, definitely, let's do it. You know.
I mean, like he's got such a style too. I mean, and I guess you don't see that on the page, but I feel like when you read it, you can kind of sense the dry humor and just the tension there. And that's got to be
Yeah.
so cool as an actor to read a project like that.
It's great to read things like that. I mean, Barbarian was similar. When I read Barbarian, a film I did
Yeah.
maybe about a year after I first read that, but I read Barbarian, um, and I had the same experience as I did reading Last Stop, in that, I didn't know what was going to happen, and that it was very, you could just feel uh, somebody with some real brilliance behind all of it, because Zach had written Barbarian as well as
Yeah.
directing it, and Francis had written Last Stop, directing it. And I just thought, there's a real similarity in both of those to me, of just unique filmmaking voices, and, men with some serious talent, or people with some serious talent. And uh, I was very lucky that both of those came along, and my instinct was right on both of them. It's a real nice thing when that happens, um, when you get a script that is brilliant, you get a director you really trust, and then you make a film, you have an incredible experience. Because with Last Stop and with Barbarian, I just loved the experience of making the film as well. And then it comes out, and that doesn't always those things don't always work out. They can, but
Yeah.
sometimes just the fate make things not work
Yeah.
out. You can just released on the wrong time, or there's a million things why people just don't respond to something or something. And yet, Barbarian, it all worked out. It came out, it became a huge hit. And again, Last Stop, again, a small little indie film, comes out, wins the best film at Sitges Film Festival in Spain. Big genre. It's the biggest genre film festival. Does brilliantly. A Fantastic Fest does. It's just a real. It's like 100% of Rotten Tomatoes. All great word of mouth, and it is a great film. But when I saw it finally, I
Yeah.
was like so proud of it.
It's like the vibes are just so incredible, but especially the ensemble cast. Like obviously you're working with an incredible cast, but I especially love your relationship with obviously Travis, played by Nicholas Logan. What was that like forging the relationship with him on set?
Oh, blast. Really, it's such a blast. I'd never met Nick before, but even before we started filming, Francis is saying, well, Nick's calling me, because Nick is so enthusiastic. All of us were just so enthusiastically involved in this project. Nobody's making any money, right? I think I lost money to do it because I live
I
in
was gonna
London,
say it's
right?
one of
So
those projects you just love.
I
Like you
actually
just do
think
it
I
because you
did.
love it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did partly because I just loved it. And all of us are doing it for that. Jim, I'm a huge fan of Jim Cummings.
Yeah.
He's incredibly involved in the film, both producing it and just his passion for film as well, and like Francis. So with Nick, it was just when we got there, and Nick, and already like Nick had been, calling Francis every day with, can I say this? Can I do that? And then Francis is relaying that to me so that I can kind of, but it really helped me figure out my character going in as well, because I'm
Mm.
like, okay, I see where Nick is going with this character. He's really out of control. So in some ways, that made me very much bring my character down to someone who's
Oh.
very terrifying, because therefore you had two extremes. You got this kind of loose cannon that could do anything in Nick's character, and then you had a guy you didn't know what he was going to do because he was just so still. Um, and we just worked, and then we became great buddies during the whole thing, because we're there all the time together. We're sitting in the booth
I was
while
gonna
they're setting
say,
up.
just drink coffee
But we're just
together.
talking. I knew by the end, I knew everything about his life, and he knew everything about mine, and we had a lot in common. And we still, speak often. He's just a great guy, and his performances, everybody's. I mean, I just watched
Everyone, yeah,
Jocelyn. I worked. She's so brilliant. Jim's brilliant in it. Gene, Michael Abbott Jr. comes in. He came in late on the shoot because his scenes were shot kind of towards the end,
yeah,
and he has a very powerful, very emotional scene in, I won't give anything away. And he comes in, he doesn't, his first day on set, I think, and he just blows me away with his performance. And then Barbara, who I didn't work directly with, but I love her, I've known her for a while. I saw the film and I watched what she did, and she just is so brilliant, comes in, for a few days and does this great. It's just one brilliant performance after another. And that's down to Francis choosing such talented people, and
choosing such talented
just
people and writing such a cool script that got y'all on board too. Like that's just so cool when all of y'all could come
pardon,
together for a
what's
movie.
that?
It's cool that you can come together for a movie like this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, and indie films are hard, they're hard to make. You don't have a lot of money, and you really got to go in there. There's no fancy stuff, you're lucky if you get a trailer. If it is, it's tiny, you know that you don't do it for that. You literally do it, and you have to have actors that want to do it. One of the things I think early on, I was saying to Francis, just make sure everybody is on board. It's an indie film. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. You got to get actors. They want to make films because they love the film and they love making films. Because if you have one
Yeah.
person on film where you're making it 20 days, you have 20 days to shoot a film, not much money. You got to, you don't want people bitching and complaining and asking where the limousines are, why their trailer's not bigger than the guys next to them or whatever. You know, none of that nonsense.
None of that nonsense. Just people who are cool and like movies. So before I wrap up,
Exactly.
my last question is, do you like rhubarb pie or have you had rhubarb pie before you're in this movie?
Of course, I'm Welsh. My
Ah,
parent, I was born so in Britain with rhubarb pie is quite a thing. America, I guess, it's less common, but my mother made rhubarb pie, which was I'm not going to pretend that's my favorite pie that my mom made, but it's I've had it lots. I've eaten most of my childhood had rhubarb pie, at least a
wow.
couple.
Cool. Well, thank you so much
But
for
yeah,
chatting with
it's
me
my least
today.
favorite.
It's mine
Thank you.
too.